Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, teaming up with SD1 Sports to bring you Big Ten season opening previews of all 14 teams, including upset alert with Purdue heading out west to take on Nevada. The Wolfpack finished 8-5 under Scott Norvell last season, so they had been down for many years. Norvell brought them to an 8-win season last year, the best Nevada finish since Colin Kaepernick was the quarterback back in 2010. These two teams have met one time on the gridiron. That back in 2016 with Purdue winning at 24-14. You can see this game at 9:30 Eastern Time on CBS Sportsnet. All right, let's talk Nevada football first. Head coach Scott Norvell, as we mentioned, doing a fine job right there. Not just in the win-loss category, but also his last two recruiting classes have ranked at number 3 and number 5 in a very tough Mountain West Conference with the likes of Boise State, Fresno State, and Utah State. Again, top 5 recruiting classes the past 2 seasons. Offensive coordinator Matt Mumme, that name may sound familiar, son of Hal Mumme of Kentucky Air Raid fame. So he leads a similar offense with redshirt freshman Carson Strong taking over at quarterback. He was the 76th rated pro-style quarterback coming out of California, and he beat out Florida State signee Malik Henry for the starting spot here in Week 1 against Purdue. The offensive line, the running back, the wide receiver positions for Nevada all coming back with a ton of production, including running back Toa Tawa and also Devontae Lee. Tawa ran for 7 touchdowns last season. At wide receiver, it starts and ends with Washington State transfer Caleb Fossum, who was in the top 10 in the nation last season in target efficiency. When they throw it to him, he catches it. 70 catches for 734 yards. You also have sophomore Romeo Daubs, who caught 43 passes, but 17 of those receptions in the final 3 games. All right, defensively, Nevada is basically starting over. They are 98th in the country in bringing back productivity from 2018. You do have defensive back Daniel Brown. He's one of the very best in the Mountain West Conference. Nevada is void of talent otherwise at defensive back. That is the reason why Norvell signed 6 defensive backs during the 2019 recruiting cycle. Defensive end Don Peterson has 10.5 tackles for loss. Gabe Sewell led the team in tackles last year with 91, and he's back. All right, let's talk Purdue football. 6-7 last year. 3 of their 6 wins against ranked opponents, of course, highlighted by that effort against number 3 Ohio State, 49-20 in West Lafayette. Purdue, of course, lost 7 games, and many of those were ugly efforts. Down the stretch, 41-10 against Minnesota, and then the complete annihilation in giving up, I believe, 56 points in the first half against Auburn, losing 63-14. But Jeff Brom, off to a great start at Purdue. Of course, they hadn't made postseason play for a long time. He won a bowl game in 2017, came back with another fine season last year, going 6-6 in the regular season. And he reeled in the first top 25 recruiting class for Purdue, going all the way back to 2004. They bring back quarterback Elijah Sindelar, who no longer has to deal with David Blau in that quarterback competition that seemingly went back and forth for 3 years between Sindelar and Blau. Blau's in an NFL camp right now, and Sindelar's coming back after he didn't play much in backing up Blau last season, but he was the main starter in 2017 when he completed 57% of his passes when Blau was injured much of the time. 18 touchdowns and 7 picks for Sindelar in 2017. The running back position, complete overhaul here. Markel Jones and DJ Knox were 2 staples of the running back position at Purdue. They combined for over 1,400 yards last year. They're gone. You got Tario Fuller and Xander Horvath, who carried the ball all of 23 times last year. But they are the top 2 running backs, and they will get their work in for the first time in their careers. Tight end Bryson Hopkins caught 34 passes and 2 touchdowns. They're extremely high on him and believe that he's going to break out to have a big 2019. But who's going to have a bigger season than Rondell Moore? At this point last year, it was really only college football junkies recruiting people that knew about Rondell Moore. And then he completely exploded onto the season in Week 1 against Northwestern when he set a Purdue all-time single season or single game total offense record. En route to 114 catches and 12 touchdowns, the first-team All-American is back, and he is fun to watch. All right. He's the main reason why Purdue was 5th in the nation in explosive plays. But it's not necessarily just him. Jeff Brom wants to air it out, and he brought in a load of wide receivers in this past recruiting class. 4 top wide receivers, including 2 4-stars in David Bell and Milton Wright. The offensive line, though, was the weak spot by far on this team last year. And as a team is building, a program is building like they are at Purdue under Jeff Brom, offensive line is typically one of the last spots to be fortified. All right, the defense was not given enough credit in 2017 when Brom stepped in, won 6 games, won a bowl game to get to 7 wins, and really turned around this football program. Because he's a offensive guru, people believed that it was the offense that took off in 2017, but it was the defense that went from like 90th in the country to a top 20 defense. Well, they lost all those guys for 2018, and they really took a step back. And now, after a poor defensive showing last season, they bring most of those guys back for 2019. Just about everyone's back, including senior linebacker Markel Bailey, who's a stud. He led the team with 115 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, and 6 sacks. They're high on 4-star defensive end George Karlaftis, who was one of the top defensive ends in the country, right from West Lafayette. So he pretty much lived like 3 blocks from campus, and they kept him in-state and at home. A big comeback from Lorenzo Neal, the nose tackle, one of the best in the Big Ten, tore his ACL, but he should be ready to go for the Nevada opener. Senior safety, Nevon Mosley's a 4-year starter. He had 93 tackles, so the Purdue defense should be much, much improved from its 2018 version. All right, Purdue's got to deal with TCU and Vandy this season, as well in the non-conference slate, and of course a Big Ten Western Division that is much improved. But first, they can't look past a Wolfpack team that, again, won 8 games last season. Purdue goes out west. It's a good ball game, but they win at 41-27. My pick right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Stay tuned for more Big Ten opening week previews right here at SD1 Sports.